Welcome to the Unwritten podcast with your host, Thomas Malpass, where we're on a mission to help the world find purpose, passion, and peace in their everyday lives. Through deep conversations and connection, tune in because we are all on this journey of life together. So welcome, Valerie. So the first question we're going to go over is, take us back to your upbringing and share some experiences that has shaped your journey in discovering your own unique definition of what purpose, passion, and peace is to you.
So my parents were born in Guatemala. Okay, cool.
So yeah, you solved it. You're a good
Nice.
problem solver.
Mm.
But yeah, take us back, share some experiences that shaped your journey in discovering your own unique definition of purpose, passion, and peace.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just start with my upbringing then, just for context, I guess. So my parents were both born in Guatemala. My dad came over to the States when he was 16. He moved to LA. And then after he graduated high school, he joined the Navy, and that's how he got his citizenship. And then he brought my mom over. She got her citizenship here. And after my dad got out of the Navy, we moved to Texas. I was born in Pennsylvania. My dad was stationed in the Navy in Pennsylvania. And we ended up moving to Texas. So we just moved around a lot. But I don't know. I don't know if it's common to you too, or if you can relate to this, but growing up in like a Hispanic family or like brown people type thing. I don't know if I should say. It's like where the family's very hard on their children. You know what I mean? Like my family, at least, my parents, they're very strict. And I think my dad, he grew up with this idea of the American dream, and I think he didn't want us to be kind of indoctrinated into the whole Hispanic traditional role that the woman plays. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think my dad he wanted to raise me to be really independent. So he was really strict. Like I would have to hike mountains. Like we would go hike mountains, huge mountains when I was like 9 or 7. And a lot of times I didn't want to do these things. Or we would run a lot. But I don't know.
You worked out with him a lot?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was really foundational because all my sisters we're all really strong and athletic. Like my little sister she just broke a world record in June for deadlifting. Like she is a competitive power athlete. Yeah, she's amazing. We went to nationals to see her in Vegas. But anyway, so my dad, he kind of raised us to just hold our ground and just be really strong. So I grew up really tomboyish, and I was just always, I don't know, I was always really scrappy with everybody. And we just moved around a lot. So whenever I was a teenager, you start to, all the hormones come out and everything. And I don't know, I just took an introspective look at myself. I was always a little weird. I never really knew why. I don't know. It's just how I am now, but I like it now.
Wow.
But whenever I was a teenager, I just had this epiphany. I don't remember exactly what caused it, but I just started to question everything about what I believe in. So my parents raised me really Christian, but that wasn't enough for me. Like I was like, well, am I Christian just because my parents raised me as Christian, or am I Christian because this is what I believe in? So that side of things, how I dress, the people that I talk to, why I care about academics, and that sort of thing came up whenever I was like 14. And it was like a little, I don't want to say quarter life crisis, maybe like an 8th life crisis.
Adolescent life crisis.
Yeah, adolescent life crisis. And I was like, who am I? And I just really started to question why I should do anything that I do, or like why are certain things considered normal in society? So I would really push the envelope whenever it came to just normalcies and
Mm.
just the way, like, why you should carry yourself the way you carry yourself. So it was really interesting looking back because I forgot that I went through that. I realized it a few years ago. I was like, wow, that was a really interesting time in my life. I deconstructed everything that I knew about anything and then rebuilt myself because like that was what I believed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems like you were like that like reflection like started at like a young age. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people at that age, I don't really think are that like reflective on life.
I was
It's
weird. I
it's
was
I
so
mean
weird.
it's normal to, like you were saying about like questioning
Yeah.
um like your faith and beliefs. That's normal,
Hmm.
but the like not typical part is reflecting and like questioning what the meaning of life is.
No, I was so weird.
But it's good though. It's good.
No, I think it's a great thing. I'm so
Yeah.
glad that I had that epiphany as a kid. But in the moment, I just stopped like taking care of myself. So it went both
Oh,
ways, I think.
really?
I stopped doing a lot of things. I stopped combing my hair. Like I look like
Oh,
Einstein going to
what?
school. Not really, but I mean, I had really crazy curly hair to begin with, so like I just wouldn't comb my hair. And I like wore all this eyeliner and like I like wouldn't wash it off and I was just I don't know, I was just like so in my head.
Oh,
I
because you
definitely looked
said it
crazy.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, nothing matters. Like I was like, why does physical
Yeah.
appearance matter? How does
Mm.
this what do you call it? How do I get a reaction at like what reaction will this get out of people and why? You know, positive and negative. And I just thought it was so interesting, like the whys. Why does this matter? Why does that not matter? And how should I react based off of
Yeah.
all of this, all of my findings?
I think
Um,
you're just naturally curious, because that's how I like see things too.
really?
Like,
Yeah, and I
yeah,
think
like
that's a really
even
good way to see things.
yeah, I think it helps that mindset that you have and had that like epiphany, even when you were like testing it, because you're like,
Yeah.
let's see where this goes, even if it's good or bad. It gives you a more open mind,
Yeah.
uh, and you're not
Yeah.
like it has to be this way, but you're just like you're curious to see where it'll go.
Where it will go, and if you challenge yourself, if your opinion will stay the same. And I think that's another thing too. I think most people like to keep themselves in an echo chamber, you know,
Mm,
where they don't get challenged. Their beliefs aren't challenged, their opinions aren't challenged, or they just want to hang out with people who are similar. Sorry, my cat is shitting right now, so you can probably hear the litter box. But I think that most people don't want to be challenged on anything and they just prefer to stay with people who agree with them and stuff. But I think that's why differences are so important. Like a lot of my friends have really different opinions, and being able to talk about like things that are inherently different is so important. I think that's really
yeah,
valuable whenever you can have friends who disagree with things like
and
and
not
still
like get
respect
too
each other.
emotional about it.
Yeah,
Like,
and still have fundamental respect for each other on everything.
yeah, it's like any like debate you'll see, and it's like people get so like heated, but it's just a debate, and it's because
Yeah.
people get so emotionally charged by what they believe in that it's kind of like seeing red, like a bull seeing red, like it has to be this way. But I think what you were saying is actually better because it gives you an open mind to see things from other perspectives and things, and talking to understand, not talking so you can get your point across necessarily,
Hmm.
but talking so you can understand each other
Hmm.
despite your differences.
Yeah, definitely.
But so what's next? Like after that, after that like period of you found that epiphany, and then
Yeah, so
after that.
yeah, I was 14 when I had that epiphany. And after that, I still don't really understand why, but my conclusion was that I should care about my grades. I think I just really valued the pursuit of knowledge. So I
Mm.
started to do like really well in school. I had always been okay, but I started to do really well in school after that. And I knew that I didn't want to go to college immediately after, but I wanted to join the military and kind of follow in my dad's steps. And my parents weren't going to pay for my college, so I was like, well, this is this is a way for me to pay for
I'm gonna
college.
do it, yeah.
Um, yeah, but I wanted to get good grades regardless and all that. And while everybody was, stressing out about college applications and essays, I had no idea about college. I still I still feel like I have no idea about college now.
No, we'll get
People,
to that later.
oh, okay. But I ended up joining the military after I graduated high school. I had only been out for like a month, so I had just turned 18 and I went, joined the Navy. Honestly, I liked it a lot. Like, I don't know if you liked it. Maybe I do, maybe you told me. But the general consensus is that most people, it's rough, you know?
It's a love hate for me.
For me too. There's definitely, yeah, it was really interesting being put into an environment that discourages, or it seems like it's not very progressive in so many different
Mm.
ways, you know? And you have a lot of the do as I say, not as I do type thing.
Perception is reality. It's BS.
Yeah, but I just knew, so I thought that I was going to do 4 years in the Navy and then get out, no idea where I was going to go after, but I wanted to become a forensic analyst or analyst for the FBI. I liked forensics. I still think it's pretty cool. But I think 4 years in, or like 3 years into my sea duty on the Reagan, the USS
Mm.
Ronald Reagan, I realized I might not want to do government work for a career. And so I was like, yeah,
Why?
maybe,
Why?
oh, why not?
Yeah, why? What
Um,
made you?
that's a good question. I think the unprofessional answer would be that I want to smoke weed if I want, but
Yeah,
also
just do
like,
what you want. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, that's just an example. Mainly,
more
I want to be
freedom.
my own boss in a way. And I want to travel when I want to travel. I don't want to do things because people tell me to do things. I'm not sure if I want to even work a 9 to 5, you know? I don't think I
No,
do.
I. That's exactly why I'm doing this. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't do this to get paid, but I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
There's tons of.
And
Look at Joe Rogan.
oh
He's
yeah,
like,
he's chilling.
he's
Well,
making
I'm
like
sure
a
he's having
hundred
fun
k.
too.
He makes like 100K an episode,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
it's
nobody
good. And
tells
if
him
you
what
can
to
enjoy
do.
it.
Yeah, and that too. Like that's exactly why. Like I was telling you earlier, more people, even if you do work a 9 to 5, do like use your free time to work on something you are passionate about. You
Hmm.
know.
Yeah, I think that's honestly so important. Yeah, I was talking about my sea duty, but when I went to shore duty, COVID happened, I think the year after I got there.
Yeah, you can
And
elaborate on your sea duty
okay,
before we go. Yeah, before we go to your
yeah, I think
shore
sea
duty.
duty, yeah,
Yeah.
sea duty was interesting. I got to see a lot of what I did on the outside, what I could do on the outside as a contractor. And for everybody who doesn't know, I was a cryptologic technician in the Navy. So we looked at a lot of, how do I say this?
What did you do?
Um, we did signal analysis for radar and that kind of stuff. And it pays well as a civilian. It's stable, but I just didn't really see myself being involved with the Navy long term, with the
Mm,
DoD. Hi, Bubs. Oh my gosh, of course he would do that right now. I just didn't really see myself doing that, you know?
long term, yeah.
Yeah, long term, it just seemed kind of draining.
Like there's
And
no fulfillment.
yeah, it just didn't really feel fulfilling. I was passionate about my job to an extent, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to do it for life.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I really like to do is write. So I'm a really passionate writer.
Yeah.
I think to this day, that's still something that I'm contemplating. But yeah, so Sea Duty was just looking, getting my shit together essentially and just seeing what I wanted to do. Like if I wanted to get out or go to shore duty and become financially stable before I get out, what degree I want to pursue. So I went to shore duty and then COVID happened. And it was really formative. I actually just realized this also, I think a few months ago, how formative my COVID experience was. I don't know about you,
What do you
what
mean
you did during
formative?
COVID. I got into, I changed a lot during COVID.
I
I
think
was,
everybody did.
yeah,
The whole
everybody did.
world.
I
Yeah,
thought
the
I
whole
was
world did.
exempt from that, but then I realized how much I had changed. So I, and it's going to sound really silly. So whenever I was at shore duty, I was a trainer for IWTG in San Diego. And
Mm-hmm.
I was on a mission once, and we had to quarantine for 2 weeks if we left the country. So I was on a mission in Japan, and they put me in this barracks room. There was nothing in the barracks room. It was just like a mattress on the floor. I was so
Really?
bored, and we weren't allowed to leave. We were like prisoners. They would just feed us like 3 meals a day, and then just leave us to our own
Oh, you
devices.
were
But I was,
quarantined?
oh yeah,
You
I
had to
had to
quarantine?
quarantine. Yeah, everybody who left the country. It was for work purposes,
Oh,
though.
you left during COVID?
Yeah, I left all the time during, because somebody's got to
Oh,
train the ships. But
that's crazy. I was just like, I was chilling
you were straight chilling.
at. we
What was
we
the name
only
of your
had
command?
to TPU. It was the transient
Oh yeah,
personnel
TVU.
unit.
Man,
We
you
no,
were
we were
doing jack shit.
so we were hardcore chilling. We were chilling so much that we only had to come to work every other day and duty
Yeah.
days for like a year. It was like every other day. Like I was so grateful too at that point because
hmm
the news always was showing like all these like unemployment rates
Yeah.
and like people losing their job, businesses going
Yeah.
under because of
We
COVID. I
I
was
can't lie,
so
we had it
grateful.
easy.
I
Yeah,
was so grateful.
I felt very blessed to have been in the military during COVID and having a job security, and
Mm,
financial security. It's so important, but we got off easy, I think. I took advantage of my TA, like tuition assistance during COVID,
yeah,
because we
same.
were remote working. And if we weren't on a mission, like a work trip,
You had
um,
time.
we would muster,
Yeah,
over email.
yeah, yeah.
It was crazy. So I was like, well, I'm gonna take classes. So
Mm,
I'm really glad I did because now there are some classes that I don't have to take at Yale.
yeah.
But no, I'm really glad I did it. My cat just freaked out. He's
Tell me
on
more
crack.
about that experience, like when you were during COVID, like the peak of COVID, and like you being quarantined.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So whenever I was working or on mission outside of the country during COVID, for example, whenever I was in the barracks, I remember being in that barracks room for 2 weeks, and I was so anti social media at the time.
really,
Funny, right? Yeah.
I
I
mean,
was
people change.
oh, people change. I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's necessarily even that people change. I think people just experience new things, and I mean, sure, I guess they change. It was
People
always in me
experience
though,
new things that
and
triggers
then
some sort
react,
of
have
change.
reactions to
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
But so I did not like social media. I didn't really like posting. I This was whenever everybody got on TikTok, and I had been so
Yeah.
against TikTok for the past year or 2 years or however long it had been out. But I was so bored that I downloaded TikTok and I started going on Instagram a lot more. And then I realized I really like fashion, you know. I really like
Hmm.
clothing and styling, and I felt like there was a lot that I could do there, and it was just something that was really fun to do. So after that, that's kind of what sucked me into my new hobby of, you know, styling and outfit inspo and all that. And I
I
think
think
it's
you're
really
good at
important
it.
to have, thank you. It's so important to
Yeah.
have things that you care about and just little things that you look forward to doing. Just for me, it definitely started off as like an exposure therapy thing, you
What
know.
do you mean by that?
So I didn't,
Like just
again,
social
like,
media or?
yeah, I didn't like to take photos. I had always been really shy, a little bit of a recluse, but I did really like fashion. Like I found my calling in expressing myself through clothing, and I wanted to share that with other people. But I would be so scared
Yeah,
too. Like I would take photos and then post them, and then I would want to delete them so bad. Like I felt so cringed
like
doing it.
self-esteem or
Yeah.
self-conscious or?
Yeah, I just think I felt really silly just being so confident in myself. Like, who does she think she is? But they're all just cognitive. Yeah,
Where
it's
do you
like a
think you got
cognitive. You mean me like looking down on myself? I think from
like
myself
both?
or
Like both.
mm,
Like where do you feel like you got like that self-conscious, like
the
self-esteem?
insecurities.
Yeah, where do you think you got that from? And then how do you think, like, what made you change from that to see like yourself as like, man, that's a bad that's a bad
A bad bitch,
badass.
if I may.
If I do
Oh,
say so myself.
well, I probably won't go too personal right now, but I will say there was probably two things that were really formative, like the catalyst and then the reaction,
Mm,
or two catalysts. The first was probably just growing up in that really strict household where you weren't really, I don't think I was really allowed to, I don't, my parents, they want the best for me and I love them so much, but I think they just grew up a little differently than, you know,
mm,
conventional Americans. I I don't think they really understood that I was a very creative person. So they never really nurtured that side, I think. And when I would try to, I don't think they understood the value in it. So whenever I would, like, I got really into oil painting at some point, but they didn't really understand, you know, the value in
like, what's
nurturing
the
that.
value of that?
Yeah, to continue
Yeah,
buying me
like a
paint and
creative
the kits
passion.
and stuff. Yeah.
Mm,
So I think I always turned away from
from
those
expressing that
outlets,
side.
yeah, from
Yeah,
those opportunities. So I think I just felt really discouraged. It just became like a, there's a term for it. I think it's like a cognitive distortion where you immediately just start, you build up this habit over time with not doing certain things or thinking irrational thoughts um, because of things that happened that were fundamental in your upbringing. It's really interesting, actually.
you mean cognitive dissonance,
I thought cognitive dissonance was whenever
or is that
I
different?
mean, in a sense, you are associating like this feeling with somebody, but I think the cognitive distortion is more of like a fallacy and how you
Mm,
act on the fallacy. Yeah.
mm. No,
Yeah.
that's similar to how I was kind of raised, but I was I was very rebellious in my teen years, and
Really.
yeah, I would like run away for like a week and like
Wow.
hang out with like friends, and I'm glad I did it when I was younger because I've learned I like took advantage of my youth. I was like, man, I'm gonna go wild. Like
Hmm.
I
I
always
wish I did
tell,
that more in my youth, to be honest.
yeah, like I did the craziest thing when I was 15.
Hmm.
I got drunk with my sister on Halloween or some random like holiday, I forget. I think it was like near like 4th of July, and it was like mid-afternoon. I got drunk as hell and I went streaking. I
Whoa. I wouldn't expect that from you. You
exactly.
were
I'm not.
wild.
Yeah, I was wild as I went streaking and I ran across the whole
How old were
my
you?
whole neighborhood. I was 15 years old, and I even knocked on like a couple of people's doors.
You totally could have gotten arrested for
It was
that.
like I think it was 4th of July because I was like knocking on people's doors and was like Happy 4th of July or something.
That's wild.
Yeah, I told you I was a
And
very
where was
rebellious.
that?
This was in Dover, Delaware. I was born and raised in Dover,
Oh,
Delaware, in like a
oh,
small like suburb. Um, and yeah, I took advantage of my youth. I don't know. I felt like something inside of me was like literally you're only young once, so it's like
that's awesome.
why not? I did a lot of like I was skipping school every day. Like I failed ninth grade, or I almost failed seventh grade. Um, I wasn't a great student. Like I didn't, yeah, but not. This isn't my story.
It's still interesting.
Yeah, but no, yeah, that's just like how I see youth is, and like now that I have kids, I'm not gonna be too strict when they get to that teenage angst
Yeah,
years,
I think
because
that's
those are
actually
the
so important.
most, yes, those are the most
Yeah,
important years to be free,
yeah,
because you're coming into your adulthood, and
yeah.
you can't be like, because my mindset is, as a parent and as like somebody who's been through like toxic relationships, is you can't control people. Like
Hmm.
people are gonna do whatever they want to do
Yeah,
regardless. So why waste that energy of like trying to like make somebody who you want them to be, when you should just be with somebody who you already align with.
yeah. I guess it's like a trial and error thing through the generations. And
Exactly, yeah.
yeah, for my parents growing up in Guatemala, I'm sure the priorities were different,
Yeah, yeah.
Why would they care about that sort of thing? And I'm so grateful for them, and I feel like very privileged to be able to, like, if I do decide to have kids, God willing, in the future, to be able to focus or prioritize them finding their own identity as children, as before they turn 18, and to just build up their confidence in who they are and what they want to do. I think not doing that in my childhood probably pushed me back a few years in my self-worth and my identity. But it is good. I think I'm at a pretty good spot right now. I'm happy
I
with who I
mean,
am right now.
I think everybody has a different timeline,
Yeah.
and social media uh, is not, like we were saying earlier, social media is not good for especially the younger generation that are finding themselves, and they are looking for social media for answers,
Yeah.
and stuck in the comparison loops.
Yeah.
Like it's
Social
not
media wasn't
helping. Yeah.
it wasn't created with children in mind. I think that's the dangerous part, Like the algorithm is an algorithm.
It's
It's
just attention. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's designed to be addictive to keep you on all the time. I think that social media can be really good. For example, in the way that I used it to improve myself and to treat myself better. It definitely can be bad too. I think it's more, I mean, it's definitely an impartial thing. I don't think it's one
Mm,
way or the other. Maybe
yeah.
there's more bads than goods, but we all
I think
use
it's
it.
the way people use it. People
Yeah.
use it to consume and to kind of run away. Like get let me doom scroll, like get lost, and like I don't even know how much time has passed.
It can be
Instead,
therapeutic too, though.
how's that?
I think it can be good to, if you're really stressed out, take a break and look at some flowers on your news feed or like your For You page, or see
Who's
what your
looking at?
friends are up to. I don't know. I think that it could be good, and for me, to be honest, I use it a lot as an outlet. So when I'm really upset or feeling lonely or like I'm not in control of something in my life, and again, I get the whole echo chamber concept, but I always feel really good whenever I can go to something that I can control, which is my appearance and the outfits. And oh, okay, I really like the way I looked in this, and I'm going to share this and share it with other people who understand me
Mm-hmm.
and can communicate to me that they're about that too. And I think just building up a network of people who understand you, you just feel very validated. And I think it's been really great for me, um, in regards to the exposure therapy also. Oh, I didn't tell you about the second catalyst. So, yeah, so I think the parents thing was definitely a cognitive distortion for me.
Yeah.
And then I lost a really good friend of mine, I think 2 years. Yeah, it's been 2 years now.
Oh, I didn't
But
know
that
that.
was around the time that I really got into social media and I started posting more. I
Mm.
was in a really bad headspace and getting out. I was in a relationship that wasn't serving me. So it just felt like I wasn't in control of where my friends go, who I lost, whether it was romantically or socially, or just people I cared about in general. And I guess I took another introspective look at myself and um, I turned to social media. It just helped a lot. I also started boxing a lot at the time, and that was awesome.
Really?
But then I hurt my shoulder, so I'm not really boxing too much these days, maybe after surgery. But no, social media I think, it's helped me out of a lot of hard places. And again, I think it does
Yeah.
depend on how you use it.
Yeah, my perspective on social media, because I mean, obviously, I'm going to be using social media to promote this. I think people just should be more of creators instead of consumers. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Like if you're using social media, I mean, it's cool. You can use it as an outlet, but in my like headspace, the way I see it is just create more than you consume, and consume things that are like beneficial to you and not like take away from like reality. I mean, that's how I really see it, to be honest, is because people see like just the highlights and then they
Yeah.
instantly compare, and that can be toxic to them.
Yeah, I was having this conversation with my friend over the summer. We were in France together, like walking around Versailles, and we were talking about that. He's like a purist whenever it comes to these kinds of things, though, because we were taking a lot of photos, and I was talking about how I was going to like saturate the images to enhance the colors, and he said that he didn't change a single photo that he had. He
Hashtag
wanted
no filter.
everything raw. Yeah, and
Hashtag
he
no
said
filter.
that there should be a law. Oh my gosh, your cat is so cute.
uh you never see my
Yeah.
cat? Yeah.
No, I haven't. He's so
He always
cute.
just like sits like a nugget in the back, like
Yeah.
like with
When my
no
cat
like
sits like that,
feet
I
or
think of him as a rotisserie chicken.
yeah, like
That's what I call
no
him.
like
Yeah.
they
No,
hide
that's
their
so
like
cute.
legs and
No,
they
he
look like a
loafs.
nugget. Yeah,
Yeah.
loaf.
Loafs. That's funny. But no, we were talking about this at Versailles, and he's at the law school here, and he was saying that he thinks that it should be a law where people have to put a disclaimer that they edited their photos. And I totally get where that's coming from. But where do you draw the line? I think
A law
creatively.
though? I don't think there should be a law. I
Well,
think it's just
we were just talking in theory, but
I think it's just creative freedom. Like what?
yeah,
Because
I
then that
agree.
would take away from creative freedom. It's
Exactly.
like, okay, that's like telling like Picasso or something,
Yeah,
don't use this canvas. You
yeah,
can only
exactly.
use this
Because
canvas,
we're,
and then
yes, and creators, we are in control of how we want to depict something. You
and
know,
there's no limit to that. There's no
yes,
like
you cannot limit
bounds.
art, and
hmm
that's kind of dangerous. That's how I feel about that. But I thought it was really interesting. Like, where do you draw the line with that?
With
I get
what?
the argument that a lot of things on social media, whether it's like
Oh yeah, yeah.
aesthetic feeds, or I think it's easier to make the argument, to make that case whenever you're seeing like a supermodel or like a really hot girl and she's so successful, but like her torso looks like she doesn't have any ribs. It's really easy to. And for me, I mean, come on. Like, there's no
What?
way that doesn't look shopped. I think if you're comparing yourself
I mean,
to,
people are allowed.
yeah, people are allowed to shop, to Photoshop. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't think,
Oh, where do
you
you draw the
know,
line?
yeah, where do you draw the line? That's
I
that's like an
think it's just
extreme.
like it's not like there is no line. There's just like because at the end of the day, people are gonna do whatever they want to do. So
Yeah.
there is no line.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. It's like people, at least like in my like feed, because I'm like I follow a lot of bodybuilders and like
Hmm.
successful like entrepreneurs and stuff. It's like that, like people who post and are like, I'm natty, but they're like, bro, you are,
No, that's bad.
you've
No,
been on
yeah.
so like
Yeah, I
that,
think when you
like
lie,
that. Yeah,
yeah, I think
that's
when
where
you
you
lie,
draw the
that's an
line.
issue. Yeah,
That's
that's
where you
okay.
draw the line.
That's a really good line, yeah. When you lie, that's a problem.
Yeah, just be real. If you're
Yeah.
real, be real. If you're fake, say you're fake. Like,
Yeah.
say this was edited. Say this. Don't. That's the line.
Yeah.
Don't be
Yes.
like,
I respect
uh,
people who are honest about that kind of stuff. Like, who is it? Tana Mongeau. I don't know if you know her, but her photos are very edited.
mm-hmm,
And, that's how she wants to portray herself creatively. Cool. But she doesn't lie about who she is.
exactly, yeah,
And she shows like her before and after photos and everything. And I have so much respect for her transparency. But I mean, that's so important.
exactly, yeah.
I think,
That's what it
yeah,
is.
setting a precedent and letting people know, hey, like you can't achieve this reality because it's not real,
Yeah,
you
because
know?
then people are gonna comment anyways. Your comment section is gonna be
Yeah,
like a bunch of haters, you know. So why not
yeah.
embrace it and be like,
But
just
it's
be
also
honest.
not, I also, on the other hand, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I'm not sure, but it's not the person's responsibility to make sure that you are okay if you're using social media, like that your mental health is fine. You know?
Oh yeah, I mean
That's how
that's
I
the
feel.
bad side of social
Yeah.
media.
You have to be like mentally secure or strong enough to not have let these things affect you. I guess we do have a moral responsibility to an extent to make sure that we're not being like deceiving. But at the same time, we need to have
Yeah.
enough common sense to know that these things are not everything is attainable, and we have to be okay with our lives
Well, I
in
think
general.
there's always gonna be, even if you're like I always tell people, it's like even if you're Gandhi or like the most peaceful like monk in the world, you're always gonna have a hater that tries
Yeah,
to bring you down. And in my point of view, that's just a reflection of who they are.
yeah,
Why are you trying to bring me down? Like I'm like that's a reflection of who you are.
yeah,
And you took the time to be toxic or negative or you seen my post. So like how about like get off my feed. Like
yeah. People take that's the funny
it's
part. They
like what
take
are you
their
doing on my
time.
feed, dude?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. They're going out of their way to to comment
right?
things or yeah,
Right?
spending time. But yeah, that's
About
the
like
funny part
trying to
of it.
bring people down.
Yeah, it's just bad energy. I don't
It's
know.
like
Why do you
what are you
care?
doing here? Yeah.
No, for real. And I again like that's a really good point because it's just a matter of how you choose to see things. Whether
Mm-hmm.
you let things affect you or understand where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But where were we at on your timeline? So we went over your COVID experience, and then you were on shore
Yeah.
duty.
Yeah, so I was on shore duty, um, and I had that that experience.
Oh yeah,
And I
about your
actually,
loss or whatever, right?
oh yeah, that was more towards the end of it. I was gonna do more. I was just gonna talk more about what I learned during my whole shore tour. But
Okay, yeah.
so
Just go.
yeah, in the
Just
in
go.
the barracks, that barracks room is like that's where I downloaded TikTok and everything. But it also it's gonna sound so crazy. I got a lot closer to God through social
Mm,
media. Yeah.
really?
And yeah, and just interacting with more Christian creators and seeing different angles of how people interpret the Bible and that sort of thing. And I
Mm,
started reading my Bible again, and I just had another kind of a sense of appreciation, like a deeper sense of appreciation for my beliefs. And so I felt super reaffirmed in that. And so I just, I'm just super rooted into my identity now after that time.
really?
Yeah. I learned a lot about myself, I'd say.
Yeah, I always tell people the algorithm is just a reflection of what you consume. So it's like
Yeah, so if we open up
sometimes it
your
tests it.
wait, open up your Instagram and show us your For You page.
It's probably a bunch of
I'm kidding,
bodybuilders.
you don't have to, unless
No,
you want to.
I'll do it. It's probably like a bunch of bodybuilders or like
I'll show
motivational
mine
shit.
too. Yeah, mine's probably just clothing and food.
Is it, where is it? The search?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of bodybuilders
Oh,
and
mine's memes and cats.
bodybuilders. Like you said, you're just
Wow,
cats.
you're so motivational.
Like you got like anime
Yeah,
Goku. Like
yeah.
that's like there. No, that actually brings up a good point because I was saying your algorithm is a reflection of what you consume, and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
before there was a point in time where I literally was so sick and tired of going through Instagram and being so distracted by Instagram models.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't want to
Yeah.
like scroll through Instagram and like I don't even want to say it, like get like
I
aroused.
mean, you can. I won't judge you.
Yeah, like I was tired of going through Instagram and seeing all these Instagram models and like getting aroused while I was just like, I don't know, like waiting for something. Like I didn't want to get, that's like embarrassing.
Yeah.
So there was a
Well,
time, what?
mhm. Oh no,
No, what?
I like don't, it's fine. I mean, I'm being vulnerable too.
Yeah, like if you like get like freaking stiffy or whatever, and and you're like in the middle of like the public, and I was just that wasn't the like issue. The issue was just like I was tired of seeing this, and like it was all over my feed. So I literally went through all of my followers, and man, I had to have at least like 100 or something.
You
Just
purged your
yeah, I
account.
purged them. I unfollowed all of those and just
That's
started
awesome.
following entrepreneur, like mindset, growth,
I love that.
bodybuilders, and now I don't have any like booties, like just
Respect though.
randomly popping up on my feed. Like
Not that booties are bad, but
no,
I
I
think
love
that's awesome
booties.
that you realized um, that it was just kind of weighing you down or just being in that mindset of constant fantasizing, right? Instead of
Yeah,
actually doing
yeah,
what you,
exactly.
yeah, what you should be doing. Like just surrounding yourself with distractions and then removing that and then just taking accountability.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
I
love
couldn't
that.
do it anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point. I think that's what social media was for me too. Like my For You, for example. I mean, it was all memes right now, but usually it's like clothing or travel and things that I really like. But it just amplifies what you want, I would say. It's a good tool to use if you have different intentions, you know? But you're right, yeah, it's definitely a reflection of yourself. And towards the end of my tour there, or well, actually, I'll talk about how. So I was really shy whenever I got to shore duty there. I was really shy.
Oh, coming from the ship,
From
you were
sea
shy?
duty, yeah, coming from sea
Really?
duty to shore duty, I mean, I was loud with my friend groups and all that, but whenever it came to being professional, I couldn't. Public speaking, horrible. I still think it's something
That's common.
that I struggle with. Yeah, it's
That
super
that's
common.
like top five fears of the world
Yeah, yeah, public
is
speaking.
public speaking. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super
So you're
relatable.
not alone.
Yeah, oh, I know. I know now. But back then I was really insecure about it, and I would have to brief all these officers and
Oh,
captains of ships.
you were
Yeah, I
forced
had
to
to for my job.
get uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I had this experience that was really embarrassing with all my friends. We were all on the ship together, and it was my first time going solo, like not needing to shadow somebody or UI, because I
See,
had just gotten my qualification. Yeah, and all my friends were UIing me because I was the first one, and I had to speak in front of everybody, and
How many
I
people?
blanked. It was like 10 people. But it was like the captain of a ship, his XO, and then like the CMC, and then the officers, and then my guys. But
Mm,
it was, I don't know. I just whenever I got into that mind, I just blanked, and my friend had to pick it up, and it was like so embarrassing. I just
that's
stuttering
normal.
over. Oh, it's normal,
Man,
and they were so sympathetic
yeah.
and understanding. But I'm very hard on myself as it is. Like I'm a little bit of I don't want to say like a perfectionist, but I try really hard when I don't like to be flawed, and that's like a bad mindset to have. But like you should be easy on yourself and give yourself a little more slack. But back then I was so hard on myself, and after that I went home and I cried. But
Really?
yeah, it was like the worst. My worst fear came true. But after I realized that it couldn't get any worse, I felt so
Mm-hmm.
much better. I was like, well, I already fucked up in front of people that I care
Exactly,
about
yeah.
and in front of important people. It can't get any worse. So it's like that's the scariest it can get. Like that's not too bad at all. So I,
Mm-hmm.
been there, done that. So my next brief, I went in there and I was like, hey, no, I didn't say hey, but it just came a lot more. I wasn't afraid anymore.
I think I never really had like too many public speaking things, but I have had moments where it's like I felt I had to do it, and it was like so nerve wracking.
Yeah.
And I went to a couple of like Toastmasters. I don't know if you heard of Toastmasters.
Nope.
It's a look it up after this or whatever. Toastmasters is like a worldwide community for public speaking, and it's
Oh,
like
really?
there's local groups everywhere. Like if you want to master public speaking, go to Toastmasters. Like they do improv, where they just have like a topic, and you have to go in front of the group and talk about it or whatever. And I think that doing that for a couple of weeks got me in the mindset that whenever you're public speaking, it's not about you. It's about the information you're giving to whoever's listening. And I
Yeah.
think that triggered something in me where it's like, yes, like I'm like the center of attention or whatever, but I'm not really the center of attention. The information I'm giving is the attention,
Yeah.
and what I'm saying and providing is that's
That's a
where all that
really,
attention is.
yeah, I never thought about that even to this day. That's a really good way to look at it, where you can
Yeah,
just be, yeah, because it's
it's
not
not
about
about
you.
me.
It's
It's
about
about the words,
communicating,
this
yeah,
information,
it's
whatever
about
I'm
getting
giving.
your thoughts across to the other person.
Yeah, to
I love
whoever the
that.
audience is. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that
But
like when I got
also,
in that mindset, I was like relieved.
yeah, I'm gonna think about that during my
Do you have
English
to speak?
sections. Yeah, I do.
Do you have a
It's
communications
really
class?
funny. No, I have an English class, a French class, and then a CS50, which is it's a Harvard class taught at Yale for programming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Those are all the classes I'm taking this semester.
That's not bad.
It's not too bad. It definitely can get really busy. I'm also still figuring out my time management or just getting into a routine, but been making do.
So where were we at?
I don't remember.
We were talking about was it your loss, or was it, oh, it was public speaking and like your time and what you learned
Yeah,
after that.
yeah. So as soon as I got to the bar was the lowest for me, like you cannot fuck up more than you already have. So that was a relief. And I think after that, gave, I let go of caring whether or not I
Yeah, yeah.
cared, you know?
What other people
And
think.
so, yeah. And so
Mm.
I had no problems with my briefs for the rest of my time there. I gave pretty good briefs. And yeah, it just wasn't an issue. And I'm really glad that I did that. It was really formative to be able to speak to people in that sense. And Sometimes they would challenge me, especially being like I'm 5'1". I'm like really small compared to a lot of the men on ships, like it's a male-dominated environment.
There's some giant people.
And, being in a position of authority where you have to tell people that their ship isn't doing well or that people need practice or whatever. People don't like to be told they're wrong. So a lot of
Yeah.
times the officers would challenge me or the chiefs would challenge me on an opinion I had or like a decision that I had made. And I never really felt intimidated, but I think a lot of them felt they could challenge me because
Because
of,
of
yeah,
your physical.
yeah, because of my appearance. And I think I'm really glad that I was in that environment because I don't think that anybody, like, I feel so much stronger in getting my point across now. Like, I wouldn't just bend because people want me to. Like, I'm not easily intimidated.
It built resilience in you.
Yeah, it did. And it helped me deal with people who are difficult, or even if we don't agree with something, I can still get my point across and communicate that without having to compromise on something that I shouldn't have to compromise on.
Yeah, because it's like the conviction in what you stand by is
Yeah.
not gonna be broken
Yeah. And it's
just
never
because.
personal. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's not personal. We're just trying to do what's best like for the mission.
I
And I
think
think
that's
that
where people cross the line is when they get
yeah,
too
that's the problem.
emotional,
I think
and
that's the
then
problem with the Navy
yeah.
overall. Like we're all just human.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of stuff that we can't account for. People are so prideful, especially since we have the whole Chiefs mess, the whole idea of the Chiefs mess. And
It's like a
once you put on your
fraternity.
anchors, yeah, once you
Yeah,
put
it's
on your
like a
anchors,
fraternity
I'd say like a cult, really,
or cult.
like a Freemason cult. But it's so mental. Like as soon as you get promoted to E7, you
People
you're
change.
different.
A
Yeah,
lot of people
people
change.
change.
There's
And a lot
I've
of
seen so
E6s,
many.
I know people who
Yeah.
would kill to put on anchors. And
It's like,
I
do
you
you
know,
really want that?
I understand a lot of angles to it. People have families, people want
Or
to
money, more
provide for their
stability.
families. Yeah, people want stability. People want respect, the respect that comes with rank. But then I think whenever you build a culture around,
It's like a line, like you are, like, this is us and this is you. Like,
yeah, it's a little
like
bit elitist. And there's a lot of that in the military, obviously
that's
because
just the
there's rank
nature of it.
structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hierarchy, and I get it, and it works in some ways. But I don't think it was really that efficient whenever I think the only reason would be human error. Like we don't,
I think it's a
again,
leadership thing. I
I think
think
it's
it
a
goes,
pride thing.
yeah, and that goes in your leadership style. Because
Yeah, it
some
gets to
people,
it's like bad
yeah,
parenting. People
yeah,
don't
it's like, no, you need
want
to
to
listen
be
to
they want
me
to be right
because,
because yeah, because they've
mm-hmm,
been doing it for X years and then they don't want to be told by somebody who's been doing it for 5 years that they're wrong, their entire career.
mm-hmm,
Or that maybe they're not as competent or they don't know as much. So instead of actually addressing the issue, they they punish the person, the subordinate or whoever, or they try and find a way around it instead of actually doing what's good for everybody.
yeah, that's the
And
biggest thing I
that's
didn't like
the
about it.
that was the biggest ick that I had in the Navy. And that's when I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not a lifer. Yeah. And that's the main reason I got out. I felt really stagnant. Just being more competent than some of the people around me or some of the people that I would meet and have to work with on missions. Realizing, oh, okay, when I leave my shore duty, that's what I'm going to be doing. And I don't know if I want to do that. And it's it's awesome that there's people who, take pride in what they do in that sense, but I just wouldn't want to be in that kind of environment where I have to suppress what I have to say, even if it's for the good of everybody, just because so and so or whoever's a higher rank than me doesn't agree.
And you know what's
It's so
crazy? They
what?
actually, I remember going to a couple, like, what would they call it? All hands calls? I was about to say assembly.
Yeah.
All hands calls where they would actually say that. Like, they would be like, no matter your rank, no matter your position, speak up. Like, silence is, what is it? Like, silence is, like, it's better to speak up than to be silent or something.
Yeah.
And, but really, it's like, there's some issues if you were, like, if you really brought it
Yeah.
up,
Yeah, that's what
you'd
they
be
say.
like, no, like,
Yeah.
so it's like, that's
They
contradicting.
yeah. And there was so much hypocrisy. Um I found a lot of great people and mentors. I made a lot of great
Mm-hmm.
mentors out there. And, I learned a lot. I'm really grateful to a lot of the people that nurtured me to be who I am like right now. I had so much help from a lot of amazing people. But I think overall, this it was very systematically demoralizing. And I
Mm-hmm.
just don't think it was a very nurturing environment. And I felt really stagnant being in just being more competent than a lot of the people who were in. And I felt like I was going to be wasted potential if I stayed in. So I ended up getting out after 7 years. And I was in San Diego when I got out. I had three roommates and it was awesome because we saved so much money. I mean, they were so dirty. Two of them were really dirty.
Why you got out? Why you decided to get out?
Yeah. So I was in San Diego when I separated and I had three roommates during my tour there. One of them was my ex. We were living together. But we saved so much money. You know, I think roommates when you're in or in your early 20s makes sense. I think everybody should do that. It's a great way to save money. You know, you probably
Yeah.
don't have that much furniture. You don't need a big house, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we saved so much money and by the time I separated from the Navy, I had a good amount of savings and I'm so grateful to myself that I did that. It really helped a lot. And just finding new places when I left to Austin, because that's where I moved after I got out of the Navy in San Diego, moved to Austin with my cat. And I had money for the down payments, for new furniture, all that kind of stuff. It made for a really easy transition out. I think if I hadn't saved that much money, I wouldn't have been able to get really good grades in school. I
It
would have
would have
had
been
to
kind of
I would
rough.
have had to work part-time and not manage my time that well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been working really well.
So if there's one thing you would tell somebody who's deciding to join the military, what would you tell them?
It's a really good question, and I want to think about that, and I want to answer carefully if I can.
Yeah, take your time.
Um, mhm. From a financial point, or from
Just in
what would you
general,
think? Well,
doesn't matter.
what would you tell somebody who
What
wanted
would
to
I
join?
tell somebody?
Yeah, what would you tell them?
I would tell somebody the Navy is a good life experience to learn more about uh, whether you join and you want to do 20 years or whatever, or you join because you have a passion for whatever the job it is. I would say just do it, um, and do it to. It's a good way to learn like more about yourself and discipline and like structure, and it's taught me a lot about life. Like I was 18 too when I had joined, and I had left when I was 27. So it's taught me a lot about just life and discipline, and like we were saying, like the leadership.
Yeah,
And yeah, I would tell somebody do it, to if you want to, if you're thinking about it, do it just to see how it is. And you only have to commit 4 years of your life.
yeah.
um
I think, yeah, that
yeah.
the trade-offs are worth it in my opinion. I mean,
Same.
it depends on your rating or your MOS, whatever branch you decide to join. But I think it's a good investment if you play your cards right. I would
Yeah.
say there's three things that I would recommend
Yeah.
to somebody who's joining. The first one, oh man, I had the first one. I forgot the first one, but I'll tell you the other two right
It
now.
might come to you later.
Oh, it'll come to me. So the second one is if you're a guy, okay, I think, yeah, get a roommate. Get a roommate. You'll save money. Just make sure it's somebody that you trust, somebody who's going to go half on the bills and the utilities with you. That way you can save your money and put it away. You know, saving is the most important thing that I got out. The best thing that I could have done for myself. And not even invest, just saving, not investing. Investing is great too, but just to begin with, you know. And if you're a guy and you want to live with a girl, okay, that's like the one exception. If you don't want to go half, you know, I get it, provide for your woman. But otherwise, make sure that your roommate is going to have your back. And then the third thing, go to medical. For I know so many people, so many veterans who got out here that I'm friends with, and they did not go to medical.
They didn't take
They don't
advantage.
have records of
Yeah.
injuries that they got when they were in the Navy because they didn't think they would
Amount
have
to
those
anything.
injuries. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have that stuff recorded, it can help you a lot when you get out. Go to medical if you get a cold. Go to medical if your knees hurt, your back starts to hurt. You pulled a nerve, pinched a nerve, lifting weights in the gym, or you went snowboarding and you got into a big accident and it didn't happen on deployment. Still go to medical, tell them about it. They will document everything, and that will be so helpful when you get out. I think that is the most important thing you can do. I'm not even
No,
kidding.
I'm a testament to that as well.
Yeah.
Like we both are.
Yeah.
Well, mine's pending, but my 100% is pending. But yeah, it's so many people get out and don't take advantage, and that's not even the only thing. Like you have way more resources too as a veteran
Yeah.
when you
And
get
that's
out.
that's something that a lot of people aren't aware of. You know, I'm so grateful that I don't have to pay for my tuition at an Ivy
Yeah.
League school.
Yeah, imagine that's like 100K, isn't it? Like something like that, close
I
to
think
it.
my I think one semester here for my program or for undergrad is 66,000 if I'm not mistaken. But that's per semester, I believe. Or is it the financial? I don't know. Either way, it's a lot, one
It's
way
a
or the
lot of
other.
money. Yeah.
But I'm I'm very grateful that I don't have to do that because I did my research and I took the initiative to go and fill out the paperwork that nobody wants to fill out and read things on va.gov and just really understand all your benefits. Chapter 31 is something people don't know about, which is another reason why you should go to medical while you're in and have them look at your body. Don't neglect your body. Oh, first, I remember the first
Okay,
thing.
go ahead. Yeah.
Number one, get into a routine.
Mm,
Your mental health might, most
waiver.
likely, will not be good
Yeah.
when you're in,
Mine
especially
was
active
tested.
duty.
Oh man,
Mm-hmm.
mine was.
Yeah, during
Uh,
deployments, even if you're not on deployment and you're just hanging out, kicking it, like on shore duty or some continental US command or whatever, get into a routine. It'll be great for your mental health. Go to the gym if it makes you happy in the morning. Try to do the Patrick Bateman stuff that I try to do here at Yale. I'll get into that later. But go to the gym. Find time to go to the gym, whether it's half an hour of Pilates or lifting weights for 3 hours.
yeah.
Um, Eat well, you know, be kind to your body, be kind to yourself, buy things that you like sometimes. Go and get a pedicure sometimes.
Self love.
Yeah, practice self-love and have a hobby that you really love. Get enough sleep, work towards something, at least one thing. You know, try
Yeah.
try and learn something new all the time and
Mm-hmm.
your life will change. But I would say those three things. So routine, get a roommate that will split things with you, so save money. And sorry, I'm missing my nails. I put press on nails and Don't pay attention to that. And then the third one, what was the third one? Remember the third one?
You said, oh my God,
Anyway,
I'm like losing track over here.
go to medical. Go
Yeah,
to
like take
medical.
advantage of your resources and stuff.
Yeah, take
But
advantage of
what
your
I was
resources.
gonna say though, like you said, so number two is get a roommate,
Yeah.
but there was like a recent announcement that like the latest age or something you could join is like 40. So what would you tell those people?
The latest age?
Yeah, there's like an age
Oh,
where you can join.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, it's like
assuming,
40 now or something.
yeah, I guess that recommendation would be for people
Younger people.
who, yeah, I'm assuming the majority of people who join are younger and not financially stable. It's probably their first time working a full-time job,
Hmm.
you know. Yeah, in that case, get a roommate. Or if you're not good financially when you join, get a roommate. You could be 99, doesn't matter. But if you're 40 and you
And
feel
you
like you
have
don't need a roommate,
kids.
yeah, you probably know a thing or two. So I don't know. Maybe you don't need advice from a 26-year-old. Maybe, or maybe you do. But yeah, just make good decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the biggest like decision factor for why you wanted to get out?
The stagnation in the Navy that we talked about, like I I had already felt like I had seen a lot. My first and my second command, just my first command being on an aircraft carrier, just doing the day-to-day stuff, being around people who just going on watch. All people do on watch. Okay, no, we have an important job, but everybody around me just farts in their seat
What?
and it just smells really bad and guys are gross.
Farts.
And I don't want to do that for 20
Or
years.
they have the
Um,
that
yeah, they
crap.
just got their dip in. I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
that crap. Yeah.
yeah, I think I could just be applying myself mentally, socially, every aspect across the
So
board a
you
little
felt
better.
stuck. Or
Ah,
not
yeah, I
stuck.
felt
Like
I
you
felt
felt like your
stagnant.
growth wasn't
Yeah, after
um
shore duty, I was going to be doing the same thing just from a leadership role. And I just
yeah.
didn't
You didn't see
I
it.
got to do a lot of cool stuff. I did a lot of important stuff while I was in, but I think there's even more that I could do. Like if I'm operating at this level and I'm doing such amazing things already, imagine what I could do from here. How many people I
Mm-hmm.
could help, maybe inspire or influence. So that was another reason I got out. The biggest one I'd say. Yeah, I never meant to stay in to begin with. And it's great, finally reaping what you sowed.
And you have more
Having,
freedom.
yeah, not having to pay for medical stuff, dental, healthcare. My tuition is good. I have guaranteed food pretty much, every month. I'm so grateful. But it's because of what I did in the beginning, the work that I put in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you gotta love yourself and you gotta look out for future you.
Yeah, I always tell people it's crazy because like when you join the military, your freedom is restricted, but you you're not very free, but you fight for other people's freedom.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I think it doesn't feel that way sometimes when you're like just mopping the floors and
Yeah,
painting bulkheads. But you also realize a lot of it just feels like a 9 to 5, which isn't too bad, to
yeah,
be
because we're
honest.
not like in like any immediate.
It's
So how was like the transition for like into the civilian life for you?
2022 was one of the worst years of my life.
Really?
I'd say. Yeah, that's how I thought of it.
What?
Yeah, getting out. I had just lost my friend,
Yeah.
gotten out of a relationship that I should have gotten out of during the first year that I was in it. It ended up going for 3 years. But leaving that situation, from going from being so codependent to not really knowing what to do after leaving that situation because you had been together for, a long time. and then going to a city where you don't really know anybody. I have my sister in Austin, but we had a falling out when I first got there, and I didn't really I had to leave her house the week that I got there. So I had just moved, everything my entire life to Austin, and I didn't know where I was gonna want to live. So I had to find an apartment really fast, and then I had just started school for the first time, like in person, real school, being a full-time
Hmm.
student. And just juggling all that was a mess, and I was really depressed. I had like a little identity crisis, just not really knowing what to expect for myself, not really having the community that you had in the Navy.
Yeah,
Friends who
yeah,
understood, people who worked in the same job as you. It's so different.
yeah.
It was hard, but I kept telling myself like I had gone through so much already in the Navy, and everything always gets better. Everything is always temporary. Extreme emotions are always temporary, bad experiences. I just remember praying to God and, just talking to him and being like, I know this will pass. I know this will pass, and it's only temporary. I'm not going to feel bad forever. And it's true. Eventually you do feel better. But it was a pretty hard time. I think I just didn't have stability, and stability is so important, which is why I say get into a routine.
No, I agree. Like even to like entrepreneurs and stuff, like if you if you want to be like an entrepreneur, and that's why I have like the freedom to like do real estate and like even do this, like do podcasts and like YouTube, because I have that like stability from uh the military. Like if
Yeah.
I didn't have that, I'd be like working a 9 to 5 and then
Yeah.
tired like after my 9 to 5 to try to
Yeah.
scrape up like to do this, or
Hmm.
like I feel like now I have uh more freedom to pursue my like passions and stuff,
Yeah. It's so
because
important.
yeah, because if otherwise I would have to do like a 9 to 5 or something, and then whenever I'm off or in between times, I would have to try to get enough energy to pursue whatever fulfills you.
Yeah. And as a student, it's awesome not having to work. I know some people who are taking 5 classes and they work a part-time job. I don't know how they do it. They're traditional students. Well, some of them aren't actually, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just really bad at managing my time these days. But
Why?
I have my hands full just with 3 classes. And
Oh, you feel like
yeah, these days just going to the gym, it's still something that I'm figuring out. We're at the middle point of the semester, about to get into the second half, but just finding time to go to the gym, because I like to work out for an extended amount of time, like 2 hours,
really?
if not more. When I do work out,
That's a
um,
long time.
my happy medium is Pilates. So I'm trying to force myself to do Pilates instead of a really long routine when I go to the gym in the middle of the semester. But just waking up early and then going to class and having to study between classes and then find time to eat also, and let alone go to the gym after everything's said and done,
And then
has
your
been,
time,
yeah, I have
like
no
you
idea
just
how
want
I
to
would work.
relax.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then having time to create and to just have fun blogging and taking photos and inspiring people with my outfits and stuff, which is something that's like really fun. And I feel like I need it for my mental health. So
Really?
I try to do it at least twice a week to post. It's been hard. I think I'm just really bad at managing my time, maybe. And
Wait, why do you
I
say you
need,
feel like you need it though?
I don't think I need it. I think, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said need. I like to do it. I think it's important.
For like
Just
your
like how I like to
fulfillment,
work out. I like to work out. I think it's important.
for like your own
And
like peace and happiness.
yeah,
Yeah.
I, yeah, in that sense, I need it for my peace and happiness. I like it for my peace and happiness.
No, yeah, that's why I do. That's why I have a morning routine, and why I do the things I do as well.
Yeah, and it's important. Everybody needs to make time for those sorts of things.
I think that's what like that's the hard thing about people who do have like a 9 to 5 and feel like kind of like how you felt like when you were in the Navy, like
Hmm.
stagnant, and it's like they don't have that, like, I guess, I mean, I wouldn't say luxury, but like, or maybe they just aren't willing to sacrifice that time that they have off to pursue whatever they find
Yeah.
fulfilling.
Or yeah. Or they don't, they have ADD and it's undiagnosed and they need to get it diagnosed.
Is that how
And
you feel?
maybe, I didn't say that. No, what? No. And they spend all day at the library not doing anything for like 5 hours
That's what you
instead of
do.
actually, yeah. Like, I'll try. I had
Wine and
this
dine
French
study night.
man. I just don't. I can't focus. It's
I
so
mean,
apparent to me
it
here.
dehydrates your brain. That's like
Yeah,
going to work out and taking a shot before you go work out. It's like
yeah,
contradicting. It's like that's it's dehydrating your brain. So how are you gonna
yeah.
focus?
No, I know. I sat in the library for 5 hours, pretty much. I did some things. I did everything but what I should have had. I
You were
should have been doing.
procrastinating.
Yeah, but I think I just get so distracted too. It's a problem. But yeah, it's okay to have problems like that, you know?
Yeah, I
Just
think
knowing,
everybody should. I think everybody deserves like creative like expression to.
yeah. Do you think everybody creates? Everybody should create? I don't
I
think
think
everybody's brains work like that. I think some people are more logical or technical based.
no, yeah, I agree. I think everybody is different, but we all have, I think, creative sides to us.
Hmm.
And whether that be like a logical like engineer, I mean, maybe that's their like creative expression
Yeah,
to like tinker
just
with
doing
like
something that you want to
yeah,
do.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important.
So now I want to. We didn't even like talk about it. So how did you get into Yale?
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
that
yeah.
is it's very
So,
hard. It's
yeah.
competitive. It's like 2% or
Mm,
something
I think it's less for the program that I got into.
for that
I'm not
specific
too
one.
sure though. Yeah.
I know like
I
the
got in,
overall is like 3 or 4%, but it differs for like per program, right?
yeah.
So tell everybody how'd you do it?
So I'm in the Eli Whitney program here at Yale. It's a program for students who did not follow a traditional route of graduating high school and then going to college right after. This is for people who have been out for 5 years of like a traditional, a formal education role
Mm-hmm.
for over 5 years. So we have a little bit of experience. You know, we've been around the block a little bit. A lot of us are veterans, entrepreneurs, athletes, musicians, people who just did other things, but nevertheless amazing things when they were out, and we all contributed to society in different ways. And we all have really unique backgrounds, but we decided to pursue formal education again after all that.
Mm-hmm.
So after going to community college for a while, I I honestly just wanted to go to UT. And again, I never really knew much about like the formal college lingo. I don't even know like didn't know
Like
what an
Ivy
MBA was.
Leagues, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what the Ivy Leagues were. I didn't know where Yale was. I couldn't point it to you on a map. I didn't know it was in Connecticut, or anything like that. But I did apply myself a lot in community college. I just had a great appreciation for everything that I learned and my professors who taught me. They were really, I had a lot of really inspirational professors in community college, super nurturing people, and I think everything that an educator should be. But yeah, so a friend that I had from the Navy who got out, he was an officer. He got accepted into Yale Law. And we were both getting out around the same time. So we followed each other's progress as civilians and we would just keep in touch. He's a great friend to me to this day. And when I was submitting my application to UT, so backstory, I grew up in Texas a little bit. I was raised here for 11 years. And in high school, I remember seeing UT and wanting to be a
Mm-hmm.
Longhorn. I just thought it was cool. That they actually had a really great astronomy program. I think they still do have a great astronomy program, and I was really into astronomy at the time and physics, so I just had it on my mind
Yeah.
throughout the time that I was in the Navy. And then I went back to Texas, to Austin to go to UT, and I submitted my application, and then my friend called me and he was like, "Hey, why don't you apply to Yale?" And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's really far and I don't know if I want to do all that." And he told me with, the veteran benefits and not even just veteran benefits. Well, one, in regards to veterans, the application process is free. We don't pay for that. But just from any angle, the resources that you have available at Yale is a lot richer than resources that you'll have at different schools,
Mm-hmm.
that aren't Ivy League. And it's great for networking, that sort of thing. And so he convinced me. I was like, that's worth it, I'll apply and shoot my shot. What's the worst that could happen? They say no. And then
Yeah.
I will have still applied to cool schools
Mm-hmm.
for free. So I ended up applying, and long story short, I got in. They accepted me. Yeah. I It was two interviews.
No, tell
Um,
us how. Like, what do you think it like takes? Like, what is the like? What do you think was like the deciding factor? Like, why did they choose you
that's a
opposed
great
to
question.
like out of every 100 people they
I
chose
think
you?
I think because of the experiences that I had in the Navy that were really formative in building up my identity and being strong in who I was. I wrote in a lot of my essays about image.
Mm,
Um, I wrote about what we talked about how I was a small Latina woman and I was very quiet, and then just being able to blossom from that into somebody
yeah.
you know, who was unforgiving in who they were. And yeah, and just I was able to contribute a lot in the Navy. It's a flawed environment, but there's a lot to take there. I think it can be really good for you. I got to do a lot too. I think being 18, 19, and then having all these collateral duties, like you're managing huge budgets, huge amounts of money, for your department, the leadership roles, the impact that you have, especially in the department that I was in. You have a lot of responsibility being in charge of all this stuff going on in the strike group. It's a big role to play, and then being responsible to all of your sailors. You learn so much, and then before you know it, you've like in IWTG San Diego training all these ships. They're depending on your expertise and you being a subject matter expert to really to improve and to be safe.
Yeah.
There's a lot on the table, and you're doing all that in your early 20s. It's remarkable. Like a lot of people don't do that. So, I mean, if you are active duty right now or in the reserves, you're probably doing something amazing and you're not giving yourself enough credit. So, being able to acknowledge that is really important, one. But that's the one thing that I wrote about in one of my essays. And then the other one is I actually wrote about the worst year in my life. Yeah, 2022. And just how I overcame that, I
Mm,
guess. But I think they really liked that I was excited to do more and to share more and apply myself with with the formal education on top of everything I had already done. And I think the Ivy Leagues also like um, multi people who are multifaceted. So at least I can speak for Yale. Actually, I can't speak for Yale, but from what I gather is that they like it when people have a lot of interests and are
like
diverse.
diverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're not two-dimensional. You don't just like math. Maybe you paint on the side too. Or
Yeah, yeah.
you invested in all the stuff. Um, like you have all these hobbies. You're a very well-rounded person. They like that. They like curious people
Try new
who
things.
can, yeah, yeah,
Open
like
minded.
you can be liberal arts but also STEM, that sort of thing. And I think I told them a lot about how I like to create how I really enjoy fashion and I really enjoy writing, but I also really like coding and astronomy and that sort of thing. And just having so many interests and just having things that I aspire to do when I graduate. And yeah, I think that's the most important thing. You're not just applying to Yale to apply to Yale. Like there are things that you want to do when you get out or graduate, and how you have developed into the person that you are and why you're qualified to go. I think a lot of veterans have solid chances of getting into Ivy League schools, and a lot of people just assume, like I assumed that I wouldn't have gotten in, or I didn't even, I wasn't even going to apply because I
Yeah, because
didn't
the
think,
chances are slim.
yeah, and like, what, the Yellow Ribbon program, everybody was just like, oh, well, they don't cover everything, but I didn't even know Chapter 31 could be used at Ivy League universities. And so there's just a lot that you should look into, and it's totally worth it for veterans, even for people who aren't veterans.
And so, how did the interviews go?
Honestly, so the first one was pre-recorded.
Oh, like
It's
they
like
like just
somebody,
had a
yeah, they
recording.
had people who asked questions, and then as soon as they were done asking questions, it would start recording you.
Oh, immediately.
I don't remember if it was immediately or like you had 10 seconds, but it started recording
Okay.
you after they asked, and you would have like 30, 40 seconds to give a good answer.
Oh, dang.
So
So what
definitely
was
don't
it?
panic or anything.
So, and then what was your answer?
I don't remember now too much. This was like in February when we did this, but
Yeah.
one of them was, what is a cause that you really care about and why? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote about my experience as a veteran, just about how just being a female veteran and underestimating yourself, not really setting yourself up to be somebody who can do a lot for people, for other people, or just being great in general. I think a lot of women underestimate themselves because of traditional roles. And, you know, funny enough, I I love traditional, like the thought of being in a traditional role in that sense. But I don't think it should be assumed that everybody wants to do that. I think women can contribute just as much as men, you know,
I think you could be in a traditional role
and
and
contribute.
still, yeah, there's no like,
Yeah.
it's not like binary. It's like
Yeah.
you can do that
Yeah.
and you can do that.
Yeah, you can be you can have a multifaceted. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, yeah, either or. I think
Mm-hmm.
for me, for example, if I do get married, I want to be good to my husband. Like I want to take care of him, and obviously like he's going to take care of me, but I want to leave him to lead the family. So that I don't have to worry about that. And he provides, and I take care of our kids and everything, you know? I mean,
No,
that's a
that
whole
is.
nother conversation. But I think, I don't know, I like gender roles a little bit, but
No,
it
yeah,
doesn't mean that the woman can't have purpose or contribute to
yeah.
society.
It's just not binary. Like you can
Yeah,
be, you can be an empowered uh,
yeah,
woman that has like ambition and like goals, but and still be traditional in your
yeah,
values and the way you choose to live your everyday life.
exactly. And just filling out all the applications and being more aware of what I could do with all my benefits that a lot of people weren't taking advantage of was something that I really wanted to help other women with. So even here with a lot of the women veterans, I'll tell them, "Hey, did you know you can do this, 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 that?" And a lot of the times they're like, "No," you know.
Oh, have you
Um,
met some
yeah, yeah, the Eli Whitney cohort, we have a lot of
veterans?
veterans. Yeah, and I have people ask me on social media also like, "Hey,
Oh, really?
I see you're a veteran and you did this and that." So I'm always happy to help other people.
Yeah.
But that's something that I'm passionate about, I think, just creating more awareness for people who are in those situations because they don't think, they don't think they have a
No, there's
support system when
so
they get out.
many. Yeah, and it's crazy because there's so many homeless veterans, and it like
Yeah, I don't,
amazes me because I'm like how like you have so like before you get out and even after when you get out, you have so many like resources to
yeah,
do something.
yeah. one of my friends in San Diego, he got out after being on the Ronald Reagan with me. He's doing well for himself, but he didn't apply for any veteran benefits. Like he's
Mm,
just using his GI Bill. But I always tell him, I'm like, you could be doing so much better for yourself. You could be a lot more comfortable. Come on, Bucks, come.
yeah.
My cat, my Yale cat. But he could be so much more comfortable. And I mean, in the end, it's their own decision on whether or not they want to do that for themselves. But, at least knowing or bringing recognition to people and letting them know that they have options. They have
Mm-hmm.
options. That's the important part. So,
So what's your vision for the future?
that's a funny question. I'm going through another little existential crisis
What?
right now in my
How
life.
many existential crises?
As many as it'll
As
take, I
many as
guess.
it'll take.
Yeah. But it's like, oh, okay, I got in. I don't know if you've seen that meme with Gru from Despicable Me. I was telling my friend this the other day. Where it's like there's like four panels, and then he's like listing out his plan to the boss, like the big villain. Have you seen Despicable Me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but he's like briefing his boss on how he's gonna rob the bank or something. But it's like four panels on a sketchboard, and he's like, first I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do that, then I'm gonna do that, and then like the next page is like, oh, like I wasn't expecting that or something like that. But that's kind of how I am right now. Like everything has gone according to plan, and I'm like, now what? Because I feel I feel like I should do something really meaningful when I get out, but that kind of defeats the purpose. Like,
I mean, you
I don't
finished
know.
school.
Yeah, I think I mean I was talking to somebody in Spain in July when I went, somebody from Denmark, a really cool guy. He runs like this private school out there. So, he's in the education system and he knows a lot, mentors a lot of people, but um no, we just met on like an Airbnb experiences tour, and I was just telling him, I was like, I feel like I have an obligation to contribute a lot, or like I don't feel like I know my purpose anymore. I was like losing my sense of purpose. Yeah, I was like, what is my goal? Like I should I should know what I want to do when I get out or when I graduate. But I think it's okay. What he told me, he said just have fun. That's what he said. That's all he said. He was like, just have fun and it'll come to you. And I mean, at the time I was just kind of like, no. But when I got out here, I was like, it's still something that I'm a little conflicted with, but it's in the back of my head now. It is really important to not try and force anything. Like why do you want to be successful? Why do you want to make money? Why do you want to be important? Why do you want to help people? And I think the whys will just come naturally as you experience things. Helping female veterans is something that I like. I'm not sure where that's going to lead me. I'm not sure what degree I get is where it's going to take me. But also, I think I should just have faith in God and just trust in God's plan. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I,
No, I feel that.
I, I just
Like,
don't think I should stress too much about it.
I feel that every
Yeah,
day. Every day. Honestly. Because it's like, I mean, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like,
yeah,
to be honest, like, that's why I started this podcast. And I'm just doing things that I want to do, that I find will have some sort of impact in the world, and uh, that I'm just content with doing, with no like necessarily like expectations,
hmm
you know?
yeah,
Like
yeah. You don't have to have everything lined out. Some people do, and my entire life I've been that way. Like I've always had a plan.
like analytical.
Yeah, I've just always had a plan on what I'm what I'm reaching for. And it is good to be that way for a lot of things, but it's also important not to have to do that all the time. Like I would say I'm a little bit
Yeah.
more laissez-faire these days. I just roll with things. Like for my Europe trip, I didn't really have a plan. I just went out there, but it was one of the most fun trips I've ever had. But yeah, I think it's important to just have fun and experience things and then just react accordingly.
Well, it's like for me at least, like I have like a direction,
Hmm.
but there's no like end goal,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it's kind of how I feel too lately. But I think you're moving in a very good direction. I think we are. I think being aware of what we want or how we what we want out of ourselves, it's really good. Um, so do you mean like you don't know what you would be like passionate about,
What do you
or
mean?
how you want to assert your passion into what you do?
No, there to me there is no like necessarily there's no end goal. I feel like it's just doing what I enjoy doing. And
Yeah,
if I could like it's like doing what you enjoy doing and then like if there's like let's say financial benefits in the future, then sure like I'll embrace that like abundance.
yeah. I'm not sure how I will apply what I care about when I graduate or just in my life in general. I don't think I'll worry about it too much either, or I'll try not to anyway.
All right. We'll we'll get into the final 5 questions.
Okay, hold on, pause.
What?
So, oh, I just wanted to make sure we were wrapping up soon because I
Yeah.
do have to go around like three, past three-ish.
Yeah, yeah, these are the final.
Okay.
And our we I have to edit some of our podcast cuz
No, I know
there's
it's kind of
it wasn't
crazy.
as smooth as like my last one that I did.
Sorry.
But
That's probably because of all the cuts, right? Like all the like with the
yeah, like the
freezing
in
that
and outs
happened
and
and
stuff,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get into it. What is
Okay.
your biggest regret in life so far?
Wow. That is my biggest regret. That's a great question. I don't really ever ask myself that because I don't really believe in regret. I just kind of like, oh, well, you decided not to do that, or you decided to do that, and this is who you are now. You know, what's the point of looking at the past when you can change what is now? But in terms of regret, I don't think I have any big major regrets. Maybe, mm, I would say,
Big major
I mean,
regrets. That's so like contradicting.
what, having big
Big
major
major
regrets?
regrets. Yeah.
I think it's a double, maybe it's a double. Anyway, hmm, I'd say maybe, oh yeah, not taking more college courses in the Navy, or I think, hmm, wasting my time with people who didn't serve me,
And
not setting boundaries.
being like aware of that during it or
Yeah,
like
being around people who did not have my best interest in mind, and knowing that I was around people who didn't have my best interest in mind, and wanting to get them to like me, or catering to people who there I had no reason to do that for. I think I think that's probably I think my energy would have been spent better doing something else, but I don't think it's necessary. It's all a learning lesson, you know?
yeah,
How are you
yeah.
going to how are you going to improve unless you experience that in the first place?
No, that's exactly how
And
I feel about like regret and stuff as well.
yeah, yeah, for people who want to get out and pursue the full-time student route when they separate, uh, definitely doing college any chance you get. Everybody's expendable in the military. So finding time to take at least one class, it's anything, when you get out, getting certificates while you're in that are free through, gosh, what is it, Navy Cool? I don't know if they even use that anymore, but you
Yeah.
can get all these CompTIA certs for free if you don't fail the first exam. and that sort of thing. So just taking advantage of a lot of the educational benefits that you get whenever you're in, I think is so important. It matters a little less in the Ivy League sense because they only take so many credits. Yeah, but yeah, just taking advantage of your benefits.
No, my biggest regret, because I was just wanting to give like context, because I
Yeah.
did an intro podcast and I asked myself these questions. I just said like just not trying more things that I was either afraid to try or do things that I could have done, but I didn't
Yeah.
because I was either too afraid or whatever. Those are my big
Actually,
regrets.
yeah,
Well,
I have another one.
now you're
No,
gonna
watch me
change
just
it.
pull out the whole list. Well, I have no, yeah, that's okay, biggest regret. I don't know. Okay, maybe that's a good one. No, yeah. I'd say that's a pretty solid one. Okay, I'll just leave it at
But
that
for
then.
you, all right, all right. Second question:
Mhm.
who or what has made the biggest impact in your life so far that makes you who you are?
Wild question. I feel like I'm back in my interview. No, I'm kidding. My Yale interviews. But biggest impact uh in who I am as a person. That's a really good question. I think there are so many people that have impacted different sides of my life. I'm not sure I could put it into one person. But to my character, the way that I carry myself, at least in the sense of like being really confident and louder and almost like borderline abrasive, I'd say, excuse me, my division in the Navy. Like everybody was so, everybody just said whatever was on their mind all the time, for better or for worse. But being in that kind of environment just kind of helped me be more not caring too much about how I say things. And I sometimes you should care, you know, but there's other times when you should just be yourself. But in the way that I carry myself, I blame I blame the Navy a little bit with my coworkers. Role model wise or knowledge wise, I had two really impactful educators whenever I was a kid. So whenever I was 7, Mr. Nichols at Wichita Mountain Elementary in Arizona, he was awesome. He's the reason I got into astronomy. He had a lot to say about the solar system, and he did it in a really cool way. And I could just, he really inspired me to dive into science. I had such great memories there. Like he put so much effort into his classroom environments and he was so funny and he made everything so fun. I feel like that is like the cookie cutter definition of what a teacher should be, especially in elementary school. And then whenever I went back to Texas when I was 12, well, whenever I was 14, I had this teacher in Texas and his name is Mr. Cuellar. But I mean, I keep in touch with him to this day. I He's just Phil now, Philip. But he's the one who inspired me to, I guess, want to write as an adult.
Mm,
Yeah, I joined my school's literary criticism team. So I was like on the academic team, and it was just really fun reading and writing. I know that sounds so nerdy, but I learned that I was a really good writer, and he acknowledged that, and he told me, hey, like this is something that you could do, and he showed me the art of writing, poetry, all that stuff, and I found that I really love that, and I think it's something like at my innermost being that I want to pursue. So, and it's
mm-hmm.
that's just always something that's stuck with me. I suppressed a little bit in the Navy. I suppressed all my hobbies in the Navy a little bit, but I feel like I'm nurturing that side a little more now that I'm out. So, yeah, I think those are probably the most impactful people.
Yeah, I think people don't realize how powerful and influential like the education system is and like who your teachers are. I think I don't know. I think just like in general, like most teachers, they don't realize how impactful they could really be. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, they're so important. They deserve to be paid more.
But all right, number three. What has been one lesson that you learned the hard way?
The hard way.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, I could put this into the other regret that I was going to talk about, but then decided not to. Wasting time with people that I shouldn't have been wasting time with. Yeah, getting so I was in my early 20s, like a lot of people, I was in relationships that were not serving me, and I think like those two relationships took up 5 years of my life total, pandering to somebody who did wasn't worth my time or my energy. I think is I could have been doing so much more, you know? I could have been making memories with friends, and instead it's important to not be somebody or to be entirely dependent to just exist with somebody else. That's a lesson for me. I will never put myself in a situation where I have to rely on somebody to be social or to go out or to have fun or to feel validated and understood. I will never put that on somebody else again. That's extremely dangerous. I think a lot of people do it, um, because it's comfortable to them. It's their comfort person, dependency, and um, attachments like that aren't healthy. So I think, yeah, that's a lesson for me. If you're in your early 20s, I'm with that kind of stuff. If you can realize it,
Yeah, you have to.
talk to somebody,
Yeah, it's
like talk to
harder
a
when you're
therapist
in.
about how,
Yeah, when you're in
yeah,
it.
it's so hard.
But when you get
Yeah,
out it, you have to at least give
put
yourself like,
yourself first.
yeah, like give yourself the
You have
grace.
to put yourself first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I kept interrupting you.
No, yeah, yeah. You have to give yourself the grace to reflect on not necessarily like what went wrong, but like what did you learn after the fact that like getting coming out of that relationship.
Yeah, yeah. And I say that because it's like you don't want to waste your time. Your time is valuable, especially when you're in your 20s. You're learning so much, you're doing so much, super healthy, you have so much energy. You might as well just spend it not being chained down to people who don't deserve you.
Yeah.
Really, I don't let anybody waste my time these days. I mean, except you.
You let me waste.
Well, this isn't a waste of time though, so.
Nah, you're cool. I hope we
Oh,
can
thanks.
stay connected for a long time.
Word.
Lifers.
Oh yeah? Podcast livers?
Or just
Okay.
friends.
Oh,
Or
okay.
acquaintances, whatever.
Friends, acquaintances, and podcast lifers. I like the sound of that. It's really catchy.
Alright. What is one thing you either always wanted to do but just never had the chance to do it? Or what is just one thing you just really want to do and just haven't done yet?
That's a great question too. There's so many things I want to do. Um,
What's like on the top
I
of your list?
top of my list.
Yeah.
Um, I've done so much. I travel when you say that. Um, Something
Yeah.
that I really want to do. I think, hmm, I think I would want to, like, yeah, I think I would want to I wouldn't even want to leave the country, but I would want to go to a national park for like 10 days and spiritually fast and not use my phone at all
That
and
sounds
just be
so.
in nature.
That sounds so like refreshing.
Yeah, right? I need to do that.
Even just to like hear it, it sounds refreshing.
Was that the equivalent for you of like actually doing it?
Now, so what I said was because it could be anything, but something that like relates to that is like traveling, um, and
Yeah,
backpacking somewhere
totally.
and getting lost and like the beauty of getting lost and like Just
Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, like travel's so fun. Not having a plan and just going wherever you feel like.
no, but that too, like I, that's actually one of my like dreams to something similar, but not exactly like that. But I want to go to like a month long like ashram Buddhist temple and just live there for like 30 days and completely like break away from everything that
Would
I
they take you?
that I know.
Would they take you? Can you just walk in and do that?
They
Is there
have
like
them. There's like
paperwork involved?
retreats. They're like
Oh, okay, cool.
they're like spiritual retreats that they you pay, like
Oh,
you actually
cool.
pay them like a couple $1,000s to like
Damn.
literally like give away your clothes and like your phone, and like they lock it away for like a month, and
Yeah.
then they just give you like a robe or something, and you're like forced to you're forced to like embrace your like spirituality and yourself.
That's cool. As long as the food's good, right?
Nah, I think you have to eat like like
Oh, this
mush
it's the
every day.
spiritual
Like
food that's good.
it's food for the soul,
Yeah. Okay, valid. Valid.
even if it's like like goulash or whatever.
Yeah.
But all right, last question. Well, not really question, but is there any personal insights that you've gained in your life so far that you would like to give to the audience that you think would resonate with them?
Personal insights. Um, hmm, Something that I haven't already spoken to. Um, hmm. I think the most important thing that in is to just not have to being aware that you don't really this is going to sound I don't know this how this might sound to you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but or if you don't agree with it, but I don't think you really need anybody for anything. Like if somebody tells you no and you want to do it, or like, like let's say you're trying to get funding for something and somebody tells you no, you can get the money somewhere else. Don't take no for an answer, you know? Or if you're in a situation where somebody thinks they have leverage over you, you don't have to stay there, anything like that, you don't have to be a part of. My AirPods just died. Can you hear me?
I can still hear you.
Okay. You don't have to
It might echo
yeah.
a little bit, but
Yeah. Um, you don't have to depend on people to do something that you want to do. And I think just being aware of that is powerful, and other people will see it.
that's actually been one of my hardest like truths that I had to face
Hmm.
is like I mean it makes sense from where you're coming from, but also being vulnerable enough to ask for help when you need it.
Yeah, that's important.
So it's like it's kind of like both. Like I know where you're going. Like always stand up for yourself, kind of.
Yeah,
Um,
more
and
like
I would
don't
just
sell
add
yourself
like,
short, and
yeah,
yeah, like understand that you can you can navigate life the way that you want to. Like you're not nobody controls what you want to do. Yes,
yeah, yeah,
definitely like don't you don't want to get into the mindset where you don't need anybody. People are there to help you. That's what friends are for, and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So finding that happy medium.
yeah. And that's it. Where where can people find you? Where do you want to be followed? Social media, whatever.
You can follow me on Instagram at Lucia Meyer, so LuciaMeyer. That's just where I I post my outfits and blog about my daily life here at Yale. Yeah,
All right, thank you.
yeah.
That was Valerie Lucia Meyer Calderon. I don't know, like your
Valerie,
what's your
you know,
like
you
full
actually,
full
yeah,
name?
it's my phone. That's my full name right there. Valerie Lucia
What
Calderon
I just
Meyer.
said?
Yeah, pretty much. You had it right.
Yeah, because it's like it's confusing when you like go by one name but then your social media is something else.
Sorry.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode and much more to come. The only thing I ask in return is for you to subscribe if you haven't already and share this with somebody so we can get the word across and spread this community so that I can keep doing this, because you're not only supporting me, but you're supporting the community of everyone who listens. So until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.